Hello everyone, my name is Ben Martin and I am here today to talk to you about constructivism and its applications in a classroom setting. Today I'm going to address the following. To begin, a quick rundown of the theory of constructivism itself, and then utilising constructivism as an approach to learning, and then my personal experiences with the theory, the strengths and limitations of the theory, implementing this constructivism into a classroom, and then finally an evaluation of constructivism. The theory of constructivism originates from its founder, Jean Piaget. The theory began in 1896 and focuses on the belief that students learn best by doing rather than acquiring knowledge. Constructivism focuses on utilizing experiments and addressing real-world scenarios rather than just regurgitating facts from a textbook. Learning in this manner is said to produce longer-term knowledge retention. Additionally, it assists students in relating and applying what they have learned in a practical sense rather than just focusing on the academic side of it. According to 13.org, constructivism is a theory based on observation and scientific study about how people learn. It suggests that people that construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. When teaching, it is important to understand that many students learn at different rates and in different ways. In order to counteract these variances, certain theories of teaching must be applied. I believe that the constructivism theory would be a beneficial teaching style for many teachers to adopt. For many students, being allowed to relate their current knowledge with a practical skill or experience allows for a greater and more in-depth learning style. It allows students to actually take part in the learning process and assist them in retaining that knowledge longer term. In situations where teachers just repeat information from a textbook, many students find this information more difficult to process, as the words just flow together in their minds. Alternatively, when you allow students the opportunity to apply their knowledge into an activity, it develops significance and stands out to them. It isn't just another clump of information to remember for an upcoming test or an exam. It is a piece of practical information that they can think back on and which may stand out to them for many years to come. In my personal experience, as a student listening to teachers, I have found the lecture format a more difficult way of learning. In most cases, I become easily distracted and tune out after a short duration. Personally, I learn best by taking a kinesthetic approach to learning. This is the process of learning by carrying out projects and working with my own hands rather than just reading from a book. Thinking back to school, if someone was to ask me if I remembered individual classes where we just read from the textbook, there's a very high chance I would have no idea. However, if people were to ask me if I still remember the activities we completed, it would be a completely different story. Even as far back as primary school, I still have a clear memory of class activities. For example, when we role-played the Gold Rush scenarios. This was a day-to-day activity where we would go through the lives of people living in the times of the Gold Rush and what they would do every day. In contrast, when I would consider individual lessons where we just learnt maths and English from the board or a book, I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't be able to recall them at all. All throughout my schooling career, I can think of dozens of practical examples that have left an impact on my education. That's why, to me, the constructivism approach is a highly effective method in teaching. Rather than just obtaining short-term knowledge for the next upcoming test or exam, knowledge is set in your mind forever. There are several advantages to utilizing this theory of constructivism. These include the following. It encourages participation from all students and promotes the use of initiative when completing tasks. It also encourages students to ask questions and actually feel included in class discussions. In most classes, there are always dominant students who will answer the majority of the questions. However, this theory puts the balance back into the classroom, allowing anyone to answer. Additionally, teachers utilizing this method will generally be present through these sessions. Despite students working in groups or out in the field, if students become stuck or confused, they can easily get reassurance from a teacher nearby. As students are seeking out information themselves, the teacher will generally have more time available to answer these questions compared to a lecture-style lesson. The theory of constructivism may have plenty of advantages, however, notably, there are also various downsides. One of the main issues with this theory is time. To produce activities and provide excursions, it requires ample time. Educators face many competing demands, and this does not always allow enough time to plan such experiences, and therefore it makes it more difficult to utilize the method. With minimal time to plan, activities that are forced may no longer provide the same learning experience once anticipated. Additionally to time, cost is also a consideration. Many schools which are economically advantaged have the necessary resources and can provide students with access to excursions and hands-on activities. However, schools that are in less financially strong positions may struggle to offer these benefits. As a consequence, using this approach, teaching can be seen to be biased towards higher socioeconomic schools. Some students learn more effectively in the traditional lecture format is also a great consideration. When implementing constructivism into the classroom, various measures may be taken to apply the theory. Some of these include setting up group assignments and tasks, excursions to relevant locations, and setting aside time for independent study. Each of these areas will greatly improve the learning ability of each of the students. To conclude, in my experience, I believe that the theory of constructivism should be utilized more often in teaching, as it results in longer-term learning that can be used in a practical sense. I understand that in some cases it may not be viable in terms of cost and time. However, in terms of producing a longer-lasting form of knowledge, it is well worth the additional effort and resources involved. However, considerations should be taken for some students who may not benefit from this method, and that the lecture-style lessons should be used in moderation. Finally, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.